welcome to Head Heart Yoga. I'm Sarah and I'm really excited to have you here today for Yoga for Runners. I decided to do this yoga class for runners because I'm a runner myself. And also what I've noticed as I had begun yoga as I ran and then continued yoga as a runner, that the two are really linked hand in hand in terms of their core elements. With yoga, the three major elements are the breath, the physical body in alignment, and the mind. And all of those three things in our yoga practice are going to trickle into our running practice as well. And I have found that that is true. With our breath on the mat, we are constantly coming back to the breath through our yoga practice. Breathing deeply and in a controlled way, and then linking our breath with physical movements. And as a runner, what you'll see is that the more you practice your yoga, your lung capacity will build as a runner. You will become more conscious of your breath as a runner. And you'll have the ability to control your breath as a runner, where you might find yourself getting out of breath at points, moving up a tough hill, or running quicker at times. Yoga will start to help you become aware of that conscious breath, that controlled breath. Number two, the physical body in alignment. As a yoga teacher, I'm constantly cueing my students on their physical alignment. So that might mean shoulders stacked over hips, or growing long through the neck and the spine, right? So that we're not compressing the neck. And you know, these are the things that happen to us as runners. When our mind wanders, we start to compromise our physical alignment as we're running on the sidewalk or the treadmill, and that's what causes injury. So you might notice that as you begin your yoga practice or continue your yoga practice, that physical alignment and awareness of the physical body will then carry over into your practice as a runner as well. And then, of course, the most important and the most challenging part of our yoga practice is our mind, right? It's never going to be clear or quiet. And as a human, I think the biggest challenge on the yoga mat is reeling in the monkey mind, bringing it back to the present, right? When we want to run through our day or what's next, we have to remind ourselves that we're here and now. And again, as a runner, that might be your opportunity to let the mind run wild, but maybe your yoga practice will kind of improve that part of your running as well, where you can be really present in your run. You can unplug the headphone and the music, and kind of immerse yourself in your surroundings and really hear your breath, feel your physical body as you're running. So either way, I hope this practice gives you some pre-stretches to your run, some post-gentle stretches to your run, or maybe just workout midweek as you run. But most importantly, I hope that you see there is a marriage between running and yoga, and that those three elements that make up yoga are really, really important in our running as well. So enough said, we are going to start on our backs. So you can come lying down on your mat, maybe just plant your feet on the mat and really dropping into the awareness in the breath, right? So just feeling all four corners of the feet on the mat, feeling the back body, the shoulders on the mat, just the comfort of the earth supporting you, and just the awareness of that. Really similar to how when you step out on the sidewalk to take a run without your music, you might just kind of take in what's around you, right? Survey your surroundings. And then we'll inhale through the nose, feel the belly fill up, exhale through the mouth. Let it all go, empty out 2 more times. Now closing off the mouth, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. Trying that out. Really trying to move through your yoga practice today with nose breathing, right? It's a way that we can control our breath, just like when we run and we want to huff and puff. It's a really chaotic way to breathe, and it's a really easy way to lose your breath. So moving in and out through the nose, using the exhales as a place to release. So we'll start by crossing the right knee over the left, just as you cross your legs sitting down in a chair. And then we'll hug the knees into the chest. And we'll start there. So inhale, feel the belly press into the thighs. Exhale, release, and feel the knees sink down, right? Because the belly's emptying out. And then we'll start to work the feet out. And either you can take hold of the shins, the ankles, or if you can reach the soles of the feet, you can grab there. So wherever you're able to grab hold without peeling away from the mat, right? So you want your back body touching the mat. And then we start to hold the feet and pull them towards the ground. So we're not really pulling down here towards the bottom or up towards the sky. We're pulling right down as if the feet are gonna reach the armpits, okay? And then maybe you rock a little bit into the hips, or maybe you find stillness here. Reminding the shoulders to be loose, right? And then creating that counter pull, so pressing feet into hands, hands into feet, and then coming back to breath. With every exhale, we're just gently working feet towards the ground, maybe starting to notice the sensations that are arising in the outside of that right thigh where the outer IT band is. Maybe feeling some sensations in the knees or the hips. One more breath in. And then exhale, we're gently releasing, gently letting feet come back to mat, uncrossing and taking left knee over right knee now, right? Doing the same thing on the other side, but our hips and our legs are different. So remembering that this side might feel different. So hugging knees in first, taking a breath here. Exhale, hug in. And then starting to reach for the feet or the ankles. Maybe a rock or two just to work your way into the hips. And then again, starting to work the feet as if you're pulling them in opposite directions, down towards the armpits, the shoulders. Coming back to the breath here. Really working into some vital muscles that we use as runners. You know, the shins, that IT band, the upper thighs. And then always knowing with your yoga practice that you want to work to a place of good tension, right? Stretch, but never to a place of pain. So once you feel pain, or if you feel pain, you want to come out of the pose. That is not the purpose of our physical asanas. One more breath here. And then we'll exhale again, gently releasing feet, letting them come back down to the mat. You might feel a surge of blood to the thighs. And then we'll take the soles of the feet together in our Supta Baddha Konasana reclined bound angle pose. So soles of the feet are pressing together and we're just letting knees fall out, right? We're not pressing them down. That's why I love this pose on our backs, because we're not tempted to press on the thighs, right? And open them up. We just are letting gravity do the work. Now, if this is really tense for you, you can place some pillows under the knees and just support them a little bit. You can take hands to belly and just start to breathe into the hands. Or you can bring the hands to the inner thighs. Maybe just bringing awareness to the stretch there. And then starting to let the body be loose in other places where it does not need to be holding. Maybe the shoulders, you can let them melt down towards the mat. And then imagine that those inhales can be sent to the place of sensation, like opening up any of those tiny crevices there that might feel tight. A few more breaths here. And then we'll use the hands on the outsides of the thighs, just to guide them back up. Maybe you hear some cracks there. And then we'll plant the heels into the mat, and you're gonna wanna bring the heels as close to the bottom as possible, okay? And then you have a space between thighs and feet, about a hip's width space. And we're going to move into a bridge pose. And a lot of people move into their bridge pose by squeezing their butt and lifting, right? So we're going to press through our heels. So start now, right? Lift the toes up, press really, really, really press into the heels, into the mat, and then let the feet meet the mat. We're still pressing into heels. We're not gonna press through hands. Our feet are gonna do the work here. So press the heels, start to lift the hips up, and you're still pressing through heels. You're not letting the knees collapse together or apart. And then just lifting the hip pointers up towards the sky, lifting chest up towards the chin, and pressing the back of the head into the mat. And our feet are doing the work here. Our thighs are doing the work, but we're trying not to squeeze in the glutes, right? See what happens if you just let go here, if you're squeezing. Press through heels. Breathe in the belly. One more breath in. And then exhale, we can release everything back down. And then we'll hug the knees in and just start to rock back and forth. Maybe extend the legs, that might feel nice. And then we'll rock up to a seated position and just swing the legs around to the side. And we'll come up to hands and knees. I'm just going to put my hair back for a moment. And then we'll plant the hands, spread the fingers wide, curl the toes under, and we're gonna come up into our downward facing dog. So hips are high, and we'll immediately start to pedal into each knee, right? So you pedal into the right knee, press left heel towards the ground, and vice versa. Really opening up the backs of the legs, and remembering to still press through hands, head is loose. And then on an inhale, coming up to the tiptoes, slowly rotating the heels to the right corner of the mat, and then dropping feet. So we're still pressing the whole entire bottom of the foot into the mat, pressing that away, like we're pushing it away from us so that our hips can be high. And then trying to plug that left hip back in line with the right. Next breath in, we come back up to tippy toes, and then we point our heels towards the left side of the mat, drop the heels, pressing the entire foot into the mat, and then again, pressing that away, hips are high, a little bend in the knees here. And then on the inhale, coming back to tiptoes, and we'll start to actually tiptoe to the top of our mat. Drop the heels. On an inhale, we lift halfway with a flat back. Right, pulling shoulders away from the ears. Exhale, we fold. And then the weight falls into the top of the feet. Letting weight fall out the head. Maybe hand to either elbow. Maybe you sway side to side. That's not always happening for me in the body, but I might open up the hips. Nice place to open the mouth and let the air escape and remind you to let gravity do the work here. And all that tension is pouring out and down. And then on an inhale, we'll lift up and tend the fingertips. You're gonna start to crawl those fingertips all the way off the right side of the mat, really diagonal from the body. And then you'll start to fold here. Now, key here is pressing into the left foot and plugging left hip back with right. The left hip's gonna wanna come forward with the body, right? Plug it back, in line with the right, press left foot in the mat, and then fold. Maybe start to notice the sensations that are arising in the backs of the legs. Inhale, we'll come up just so that we can walk the hands all the way to the left side. Again, you're gonna reach as far as you can off the left side of the mat. Exhale, we'll fold. And then active alignment. So you're becoming aware of the physical body. You're plugging that right hip back in line with the left. Pressing right foot into mat and breathing. walk the hands back to center. On an inhale, we'll come out, reach up and overhead. So looking up at the hands, Urdhva Hastasana. We'll bring hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra, press thumbs into sternum. Inhale, and then we exhale into our mountain pose. Palms are out, shoulders are back and down, and then we zip up in the pelvis. Letting the eyes close, press all four corners of the feet in the mat and feel the comfort of the earth beneath the feet. We're rooting feet down, rising through spine, through crown, long neck. Right? There's a lot to remember here. But when we're aware of the physical alignment in our mountain pose, it reminds us that we're strong, we're stable, and also a place we can come to as a runner, right? To just check in. What does our alignment look like right now? When our mind wanders, we start to compromise that alignment. So we'll come back to our inhale, reaching up and overhead, and then we're exhaling, folding. Inhale with a halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, we'll plant the palms, spread the fingers, and we're going to step back into our plank pose. Plank, we're one long line. Shoulders are slightly over wrists, hugging the navel in, and then pressing heels back and just rolling back and forth on the toes like you're looking over a ledge, and then coming back. And then we'll inhale forward, exhale, press the hips up and back to downward facing dog. Pausing here, and then on an inhale, lifting that right leg long behind us. Exhale, we're gonna step the foot to the front of the mat, pausing here. Ankle under knee, we don't want knee over ankle. And then pressing through that back heel, feeling the hips align again, dropping the back knee into our low lunge. And then coming to fingertips, pulling shoulders away from ears, right? So that we really get a hip stretch in the left hip, maybe even in the right hip, but we're still pressing through that front foot, long neck. And then exhale, we're pressing back, hips over that back knee. And then we're gonna peel front toes up. If you need more sensation, you can walk the heel forward and then press heel into the mat as if you're dragging it towards you. So flat back here, long neck, inhale, and then exhale, you can start to sink down, right? And the more we peel the toes towards the face, the more sensation we create in the hamstring and the back of the leg. Our runner stretch. Noticing if the hips are, again, in line with one another, right? You might want to plug that left hip point forward, right hip point back. If you'd like to create more sensation, maybe starting to let the right toes drop to the outside of the mat. And then we will plant the hands once more. On an inhale, come forward again. Plant that left palm on the inside of the foot and reach up through right fingertips for a twist. So we're reaching up, pulling shoulder away from ear. We don't want to dump our weight into the shoulder. And then reaching back and trying for the next step, which would be to bend that back knee, maybe reach for the foot. Maybe you're here today, okay? So meet yourself where you are. If you do have the back foot, you're pressing the top of the foot into the hand and rolling the right shoulder back and up. You can always walk this right foot, this front foot out to the edge of the mat to create more space. And then working that back foot towards the body. And then we'll slowly release. We'll frame this front foot, lift the back knee on curled toes, and step back to plank pose, and then press up and back to downward facing dog. And then we'll do the other side. So maybe you pedal out the knees for a moment, catch your breath. And then on an inhale, lifting the left leg long behind us, three-legged dog. And then exhale, bending the knee and stepping to the top of the mat. Again, ankle is under knee. We're pressing through that back heel and just finding a long line through the heel, all the way through the leg, the spine, and then lastly, our neck, crown of the head. Then we drop that back knee. Low lunge, maybe coming to fingertips so that we can pull the shoulders back and drop into this right hip. One more breath here. And then we'll press back onto the heel once more. Maybe you take the heel up a little bit. So we're sitting the hips back over the knee and then peeling those left toes up towards the face, right? Ardha Hanumanasana. So a half split pose. So you could imagine all the benefits that this pose would have for the parts of the body that we're working as a runner. Again, plugging right hip in line with left, noticing what that does to the body. Maybe starting to drop the left toes to the left side of the mat. Just breathing here, right? We're not forcing anything. We're letting the exhales remind us that we can gently drop into the pose. Exhales are reminding us it's a letting go of breath, of tension, and maybe it's just intentional, right? And then on an inhale, we're coming back to that front foot, to our low lunge, but we're planting the right hand on the inside of the foot and reaching up through left fingertips. And as we press the mat away, we give ourselves some space between the shoulder and the ear. Reaching out through fingertips. Another thing that we do as runners, right, is when we kind of lose our physical alignment, reaching back for foot, we might start to let the shoulders creep up towards the ears. Really kind of take on some bad postures as we run. That could create pain in the back later, the neck. Again, if you have the foot, you can walk the front foot, the left foot out towards the edge of the mat. Maybe even come onto the edge of the foot. As long as toes and knee pointing in the same direction, you're good. Rolling shoulder back. And then gently releasing. Again, framing that front foot, curling the back toes, pressing through heels, stepping back to plank, up to downward facing dog. And now we're gonna come back down to the knees and then just gently rest into our child's pose. So letting heels meet the bottom, pressing hips to heels, maybe resting forehead momentarily. And then we'll just gently crawl ourselves up. And we're going to just place ourselves forward a little bit so that we can curl the back toes. So we're going to take a toe and ankle stretch here. Obviously necessary as runners because we are on our feet, putting a lot of stress on the feet, especially the bottoms of the feet. So again, you can control the stretches here, and once you find a place that offers you enough sensation, you can pause there. And you never want to feel pain, so if you feel pain, you want to come out of the pose. So we'll start here, right? And then we'll start to walk ourselves up to sit on our heels, toes curled under, giving a nice stretch and opening to the bottoms of the feet, bottoms of the toes. And then remembering to still grow along through the spine, right? We don't want to hunch over on ourselves. And then breathing here. Remembering this can really open up the backs of the feet. If you have plantar fasciitis as a runner, if you work on your feet all day, this might feel really good. And you can come in and out of this if this is really intense for you, or you can just pause here for a moment longer. And then we'll come off the toes and maybe just taps the bottoms of the feet, or sorry, the tops of the feet into the mat. And then prepare for our next pose. So knees together, we're going to come to sit on the heels, and this time our toes are untucked. And we're gonna take an ankle stretch here, which is super intense. And if you have sensitive knees, you wanna be really gentle in this pose. This might be a place where you take really tiny steps until you feel some sensation. So fingers are facing the body, palms are planted, and we're just gonna start to walk our hands back so that we can lift the knees off the mat. Maybe you pause here. Maybe you keep walking, 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 and eventually we're lifting shins off the mat, and then we're lifting ankles off the mat. So really we're pressing the tops of the feet and the toes into the mat, and we're giving our body a nice stretch in the shins, the ankles, tops of the feet. Breathing here. And then when you're ready, just slowly coming back down to mat, walking the hands back up, and then bringing the legs to the side. It might feel really nice to come off of the feet right now. And then taking legs long in front of you and just pointing and flexing through the toes, right? Releasing the stretches that we just did. Maybe taking some ankle circles with one foot and then the other. All right. So we've worked through some of the most important muscles in the body that we use as runners. I mean, our feet in their entirety, right? The bottoms of the feet, the ankles, but most importantly, the legs that are doing all the work for us. And then those little places that we forget, like the hips and the shoulders, where we carry a lot of our tension in the neck. So a few more poses. We'll start by hugging that right knee into the body. Really growing long through spine, right? And inhale, just pressing the sit bones down, and maybe you stay here. If you'd like, you can cross the foot over the left leg. As long as the foot can be planted flatly, you can move into this side, and you still want the hip to be on the ground. So on an inhale, we're gonna reach up through fingertips, drop the shoulders down. Exhale, we're gonna twist towards that bent knee, towards the right side. Drop the hand behind us, press up so that we're long, and then hook the left elbow to the outside of the knee. And this just incites our twist. Now, a few things to remember here. On the inhale, we go tall and long. Exhale, we ring out. Maybe gaze comes over back shoulder, but we're flexing through this left foot. We're active. We're active in every part of our body, and that doesn't mean gripping or tense. It just means aware. Now, this always hurts the back of my arm, so you are more than welcome to hug the knee in. Breathing here. And then we'll unwind ourselves, but you're gonna keep the knee here, and we're gonna use this pose to shift gracefully into the next. So I will face you so that you can see. So you have your right knee bent and stacked over the left. We're just gonna start to drop that right knee and let it come stacked on top of the left. So foot is out to the side of the body. And then you're gonna bring your left foot out to the other side so that your shins are parallel with the mat and your knees are stacked. Now, it might not be a perfect stack, right? You might need to take a blanket under the right hip to give you some space here. And this is actually the pose that we did at the beginning of class on our backs when we grabbed our feet and started to pull them towards the mat, except now we're sitting. So this is cow face pose with just the legs and not the arms. It's Gomukhasana pose. So a nice deep hip stretch. You could probably feel some thigh stretch. So we'll pause here and breathe. Maybe you take your hands to the soles of the feet, which is nice and grounding. Just a gentle press on the feet. In and out through the nose. And as you breathe and you sit in this pose of stillness, it's really easy to let the mind wander. And as a runner, sometimes we're used to our exercises being momentous, right? Moving, going. So stillness can be a challenge. So focus on the breath, what it sounds like, what it feels like, and then allowing the breath to move to the parts of the body and offer a release, maybe the hips, Maybe if you're gripping in the face or any other parts of the body, just inviting the release there every time you exhale. One more breath here. And then very gently coming out of the pose just as we came in. So you can start by stretching the left leg long again, and then hugging that right knee up towards the chest, uncrossing the legs, and then taking legs long. So coming back to where we started, and then we'll move through the other side. So you're going to now hug the left knee in, and then find that length. Maybe you're stepping over the leg, maybe you're not. So on an inhale, we grow tall and reach through fingertips. On an exhale, we twist to the left now. Planting the left hand behind us and then hooking the right elbow to the outside of the thigh and beginning to twist. Flexing through the right feet and the right toes. Maybe gaze comes over the back shoulder. Maybe you're just hugging the knee in. Key here is length on the inhales. On the exhales, we empty out, so we give room to twist. We get that nice action of a stretch in the thigh just by hugging the leg in. One more breath here. And we can unravel and start to drop that left knee to stack on the right. We're bringing your foot out to the side here. And then again, gently bringing that bottom foot over as well. Same pose from the beginning of class. Again, knees are stacked, feet are out to the side, and this hip might feel different. This side might feel different. So giving your body what it needs, maybe sliding that blanket underneath the hip, growing tall, and then on the exhale, letting the body sink, right? Maybe placing hands on soles of feet, maybe this time on the hips, just as a gentle reminder to release on the exhales. And then using the breath to offer the invitation to let go in the body, right? Maybe it's just the intention of letting the body sink down, letting the tension unravel in the hips. Gentle breath in and out the nose. A few more breaths here in this pose. Start to unravel ourselves by straightening out the right leg and crossing the left, and then taking our legs long in front of us on the mat, coming down to mat, and maybe just taking one long full body stretch here. And then our last pose, we'll plant both feet and take a figure four by taking the left ankle to the right knee, pressing knee away. And again, if this is your first yoga practice, or maybe you just haven't done yoga in a while, you've been focusing on your running, just see how that feels. Maybe you start to hug the knee into the chest, and you can loop the hands through and hug the thigh or the shin in, but we're active through feet, and that means pressing through heels and toes. And then we want to work that left knee away from us. Okay, and hug the right knee in, and that's when you'll start to create some sensation, some stretch for yourself in that left hip, your left thigh. And then breathing here, reminding the upper back, the shoulders to melt down. One more breath in. And on the exhale, letting everything fall in a twist to the right. So maybe this top foot meets the floor, and you can hug the ankle in closer to the body, press the knee away. Again, bringing a stretch to that IT band, which is just an area that we overwork as runners. And then your gaze can come over the opposite shoulder, and you can stretch that arm out for a nice twist. Nice full body supine twist. And then inhale back to center, using the foot to press yourself back up, and then switching. So right ankle to left knee, and we're creating this figure four again with the body, right? And then pausing here, maybe hugging knee in, maybe taking hold around the thigh or the shin. And then you can always use the elbow to work that right knee away from the body. flexing through feet, and then dropping into the pose, dropping into the breath. This is a lovely way to wind down from a run. Right? It's always important to stretch before and after a run. I know I'm not always so great at doing that, but just, try these poses and see how it affects the physical body next time you get out there. And then let everything fall to the left in your twist. Again, pressing knee away, maybe hugging ankle in and taking your full twist gaze over right shoulder. Our yoga practice really lengthens the muscles and creates these nice, long, lean muscles that might make you feel a little lighter on your feet next time you take a run. And then on the inhale, we bring everything back to center. Then we can end our practice just maybe by stretching out the legs, maybe hugging knees in and just rolling back up to a seated position, just so that we can close our practice today. So I hope that you have found a lot of links between running and yoga, especially those three major elements: the breath, the physical body and alignment, and the challenge of the mind. That is always going to be something that we need to reel back in so that we can be present in our yoga practice and present in our running. And I hope that you can take these poses with you midweek as a cross-training exercise, or even pre-stretching before your runs. So I'm super happy that I got to share this practice with you. I know that it's something that I use as a runner, and I hope to see you back here to take more classes with Head Heart Yoga. Again, thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today. Namaste.